Today I'm going to be diving into my experiences with what I believe to be one of the best 1080p golf simulator projectors on the market, and it is the BenQ AH500ST. It's bright, colorful, and it is extremely adaptable. And when it comes to your setup, getting it right the first time makes all the difference. If you're working with a smaller space, you might be limited on options when it comes to projectors. If you have a non-traditional screen size, like a 1:1 or a 4:3, something like me, this projector in specific is really going to stand out to you, so I'm excited to share it with my audience, and I gotta say thank you to BenQ for sending this one to me. First things first, we're going to start with an unboxing. I will get into the setup in depth, show you some of those features that make this really stand out amongst other simulator projectors, look at it under different lighting, and help you decide if this is going to be the right projector for you. Alright, so let's talk about the setup, because this is seriously where the AH500ST shines, and the setup was an absolute breeze. With 3 mounting holes and a center of gravity marker, I was able to quickly swap this out with my AK700ST and even mounted it in the same location. It has a 0.49 throw ratio, which means that I can mount this extremely close to the screen. I'm talking 5.3 feet to project a 120-inch image size. That is incredibly important for reducing shadows and keeping that immersiveness when it comes to golf simulators. But not to worry, because it is extremely forgiving. I've got mine set up about 8.5 feet behind screen to an 8x8 image projection. But if you have limited space, it is going to make a huge difference in that setup experience. So it's also got features like digital shrink and shift and a generous 2D vertical and horizontal keystone, which is easily going to give you the ability to mount it off center. So if you have low ceilings, no problem, you can mount it off to the side and you can still get an image that's not distorted. So extremely easy to just place this in the general area of where it needs to be set up, point it somewhere at the screen. As long as your projection is larger than the screen size, you can easily make adjustments with the digital shrink and shift, with the corner fit. But not only that, because my favorite feature with this is BenQ's screen fill function. And this is what I was talking about if you have a screen size that's not a 16:9. If you have a 1:1 or a 4:3, you can quickly change to those native resolutions just through the menu option. You don't have to mess around with going into your NVIDIA control panel and making changes to your custom resolutions, which I've had to do with my AK700ST. But this one right here, quick menu option, and I was able to set it to a 1:1. Adjust it quickly with some corner fit, and I was up and running myself, even filming this video in less than 30 minutes from the time I opened up the box. So seriously easy, and do not take that screen fill function for granted, because it's great. It's really nice to have. Of course, the remote is great to have, easy to follow, on-off switch. You've got your golf mode specific buttons, source, corner fit, focus, autofocus, really easy to find, volume buttons, keystone, mute, bring up your menu nice and easily, backlit keys so you can see it in the dark, preset buttons, pretty much everything you want right here. All right, let's get into the good stuff, the image quality. First impressions here, super bright, even with ambient light. With no light, it is so powerful. I can make out all the letters, numbers, no matter where they are on the screen. The colors are beautiful. Laser is the way to go. And this is where you're basically maxing out those specs of a 1080p projector, because this is coming in at 4,000 lumens, which is incredibly bright. And if you have any kind of ambient light coming in, you're going to want those extra lumens. My lighting changes throughout the day, and it can be difficult to control, especially because my kids are always home. And so even with a good amount of light coming in, I can play with this. I tested this with no lights on, I tested it with my overhead lights on, and I tested this with full lighting during the day. I gotta say, it's still really impressive with all that lighting, and you can still enjoy it even if you wanted to play in full lighting at 4,000 lumens. And that's something that I can't say for projectors that are only at 3,000 lumens. Not only that, but you're gonna get BenQ's golf mode, which if you've seen my AH500ST, is gonna give you those vibrant greens and blues, really make those pop, because those are the colors you're gonna see most often on golf simulators. And these colors are true. It's a 30-bit, 1 billion colors, and it's not lacking in any way. So this is 1080p, and it can go up to 120 Hertz, but if you run it at 60 Hertz, you can get an extremely low input lag time, which is going to severely diminish your shot delay and making this even more immersive. Not only that, because this is a laser light source, there's a couple of great features that come with that. One, you're going to get 20,000 hours out of normal mode, 30,000 if you run eco mode, and secondly, you're going to get a 3,000,000:1 contrast ratio, which to me is just as important as the brightness, because look at the contrast. Look at the pop between the lights and darks. And that's just another thing that separates this from traditional lamps, and you're not going to get that with traditional lamps. Lasers are the way to go. They last longer, the picture just looks incredible, which means you're not going to have to upgrade this for a very long time unless you decide to go for 4K. Now, as a little bonus, which is awesome because this makes sense for budget simulator owners, there's actually a dongle, a wireless dongle that works with SkyTrack and Garmin R10 that allows you to directly connect to those launch monitors using this dongle. So take a look at the link in the description and you can see more information about that dongle. Unfortunately, I can't test that out for you because I don't have one of those launch monitors. But if you don't want to have to run extra cables, the BenQ dongles are fantastic. So essentially with this projector, the only limitation is that it's not 4K. It's a 1080p projector, but it's got 4,000 lumens. It's a laser light source, 3,000,000:1 contrast ratio. The colors of the golf mode, so true and perfect. Really no better way to do it, and BenQ projectors make it so easy to set up. That screen fill is such a nice feature. So if you have a limited space, like me, you have a smaller screen size, not a 16:9, I mean even a 1:1 like me, a 4:3, this projector is going to be the perfect option for you running at 1080p. As much as I love my AH500ST projector because it's 4K, the screen fill function in this one, being able to change my aspect ratio like that without having to go into my settings, is what separates this one from the rest. If you decide to upgrade to a bigger space in the future, 16:9, a nice big screen, it's still going to work for you. And since it's a laser light source, this is going to last you a very long time. And especially if you're on a budget like myself, you don't want to have to go upgrading something as expensive as a projector in the future. Check out the AH500ST. I'll have links in the description if you have more questions. Feel free to ask me a question in the comments and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And if you need more help building your golf simulator on a budget, subscribe. And I'll see you next time here at Unreal Golf.